Hello.
Hey, is that Ethan?
Yes, is this Colin?
Yes, it is.
Colin Hay, how are you, buddy?
Good. Thank you. Very, very good. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well, I know you're a busy guy, so thank you for taking the time to call in and talk with me today. How's your day going so far?
Pretty good. I've just been talking to a bunch of people, but apart from that, we have a day off. I'm out on the road at the moment with Ringo, so we're having a great little tour.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You have been a part of Ringo's all-star band. You were part of his 8th band, his 10th band, and now 3 years in a row, 13th, 14th, and 15th. How did you and Ringo first connect?
They just called me. I was on the freeway and driving home, and I got a call asking me if I wanted to be part of the All-Star Band in 2003, I think it was, yeah. So I guess they must have a list of something of people who they consider to be part of the band, and I guess you have to have had hits, and you have to be able to still stand up straight and play your songs properly, and so I guess they figured I could still do that, so they made the call.
As long as you can stand up on stage for a couple hours, you're good, right?
Yeah, that's a prerequisite. Absolutely.
Well, they've had so many people in the band, and obviously a bunch of them are returning. You're one of the most regular appearances in the band, so that's got to be nice, always getting the call back.
Yeah, I've been doing this last thing from, I guess, 2018. So the last 6 years, I've been doing it. So yeah, it's lovely. It's a great band to be part of. Fantastic.
I've got a story. You and I have talked on the phone before. I'm sure you probably don't remember. You talk to dozens of people daily. But last time I talked to you, I was living back in my previous hometown of Lubbock, Texas, the home of Buddy Holly, and I didn't know if that would ring a bell. Or...
Yeah. I think I remember.
It's been quite a few years, so I don't expect you to remember much. But I love that on the Colin Hay Doing Men at Work tour that you got coming up, you're doing about 17 dates, and 4 of those, almost a full quarter of them, are right here in Florida. Other than loving to tour in lots of places, was that intentional just to hang out in Florida as long as possible?
No, not really. It's just, I have a booking agent who puts this together. And I guess, they put it out there that you want to go on tour, and different people buy the show. The different promoters stick their hand up and go, well, we want that. And I guess there were 4 offers from Florida, so we took them. It's you go where I guess you go where people want you.
Well, that makes sense, and I was looking at the dates. It looks like, thankfully, either your tour router or your booker made sure that you had a few extra days before and after those 4 days in Florida. So hopefully you guys in the band get some vacation time on the beach or at Disney World or something.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, when you're on tour, the main thing you're there for is to play the shows, but. If we got some time off, we always seem to make good use of it,
Yeah. Last time I think you rolled through and played Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater. I was at that show, and that was, if memory serves, I believe it was 2022. And I wanted to share a personal story with you. The reason I remember it is because when my older brother Chris and I were kids, we used to put on Business as Usual and Cargo on the record player on repeat and, make our own videos and sing along. We know all the words to all the songs. And back just before 2021 holiday season, my brother Chris passed away. And by the time your show rolled around, I hadn't really processed all of that. But there in the middle of the show, when you were playing all those Men at Work songs, I had an extremely emotional night, and so you helped me process all of that with my brother, and so I just wanted to say thank you. Your music really made a big difference in my life that night.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that, and also sorry at the same time that you lost your brother. That's a tough break. That's a rough thing to go through. Absolutely.
But
Must be.
again, every time I hear a Men at Work song now, I remember all those awesome days. So there's beautiful things to it as well. So again, thank you for all of that.
Yeah, it tends to soften the pain somewhat. Absolutely.
It does. Back in the early days, you were, I believe, 14 when your family moved from Scotland to Australia. And a lot of people know there's another famous family that started in Scotland and moved to Australia and became musicians with, the most of the guys in AC/DC. Was there a thing back then for Scottish musicians to move to Australia and become famous rock stars?
Apparently so. Apparently so. Yeah, it's a strange phenomenon, But there were a lot of immigrants at that time that came to Australia from England and Scotland and different parts of Europe, but mainly Britain. And a surprising number did form bands and do very well. And I don't quite know why that was the case, but it might be worth looking into because it was a kind of phenomenon of sorts. You had the Youngs and you had a lot of other people. The Bee Gees were from England and they came out to Australia and did really well. But yeah, a surprising number of people did exactly that. It went to the other side of the world, put bands together, and then conquered the world.
I was looking through Wikipedia, and there's something here that says that they actually, after what was considered the worst winter on record in Scotland, there were TV advertisements that was offering assisted travel for families to actually move to Australia. So that may have played a part back in the day.
Yeah, that's how we got there. Yeah, there was an active what they call assisted passages to Australia during the 50s and 60s, and probably into the 70s, the early part of the 70s as well, where it only cost you £10 or £20 to go to the other side of the world. So that's what my parents took advantage of that.
That's insane, 10 to 20 pounds to make it all the way down to an entirely new continent, basically.
Yeah, and if you stayed for 2 years, and then went back, the government paid for your trip home. But if you went back within the first 2 years, you had to pay your own way back. So, but most people stayed. The vast majority of people stayed. I think that relatively few people went back.
You must be used to, I know a lot of people that start off over in Europe and the UK, when they come over to America specifically, they're kind of in awe or astounded by how large America is. But with you and Men at Work starting off in Australia, a lot of people who haven't been to Australia have no idea that in between Perth on the west and Melbourne and Sydney on the east, the middle of Australia is absolutely enormous, and it takes forever to get across to that. So you must be kind of used to that kind of travel time.
Yeah, we were used to traveling a lot of distances in Men at Work when we first started touring with the band. And as you say, Australia is roughly the same size as the United States of America, but it's an island, and but there's just a lot fewer people. That's all. There's a lot fewer. I don't even really know the population of Australia at the moment, but it'd probably still be less than it would still be less than 30 million, I would imagine. And so it's 10% of the population of the states for the same surface area. So there's a lot of space there. Well, if we traveled from Melbourne to Sydney, for example, we would get in the van and travel there. It's to do a show. Then it was it's a 10-hour drive. So sizable drives for sure. So when we came to America, it was huge, and it was a phenomenal experience for us. But we took it, we embraced it, and toured for the better part of a couple of years, really.
One of the very first songs that you ever wrote when Men at Work was just getting off the ground, I believe, was Down Under, a song that to this day is still huge on the radio. Does it still kind of excite you to hear a song that you wrote, almost 50 years ago now, still as popular as ever?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're standing in the especially when you're standing in a long line at somewhere, and one of your songs comes on the sound system, gives you a bit of a lift. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir. Can't wait to see you when you make it to town. And thanks again for your time. Have a great day, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care. Bye.